What's up everyone, it's Endymion, and today I thought I could relax, drink some coffee, and stare into the abyss as I contemplate all my life choices. But like the dawn of a new day, there comes exciting new possibilities. And unfortunately, it also means we'll have more game journalists spewing moronic comments and then pushing them off as facts. This brings us to today's video, where the frequent offender of a site known as thegamer.com has once again decided to post an article completely out of touch with reality. Beyond that article, I'll also talk about a certain game studio that has shut down due to pushing identity politics, and another new game coming that's inspired by Donald Trump's inauguration in 2016, and how the developer's mental health was destroyed over it. I'm not kidding. You'll see later in the video. Anyway, to start, we have this article that yet again comes from Stacey Henley, an editor at The Gamer who's known for her outspoken pro-feminist views. And her latest is titled, "Stop Using Mods to Make Female Characters Prettier." The article states that games like Baldur's Gate are to blame for this massive rise of pretty women in gaming, with Henley stating they're upset that many modders are choosing to release mods that make the female characters better looking in-game. They claim gamers are sexist and don't know what real women are, citing that Aloy story where a Twitter user yassified the bejesus out of Aloy's face, and that tweet ended up going viral and became ammunition for woke journalists who thought it gave them a slam dunk over their naysayers. That tweet spawned a few articles out of The Gamer alone where they tried to spin the story into saying anyone who doesn't accept the ugly woman agenda is an incel or a virgin. In this new article, The Gamer Stacey Henley complains that players are using mods to make characters like Lae'zel more attractive. And they get even more offended that mods are already out to make Shadowheart even more beautiful than she already is. Henley claims these mods are being used to objectify these characters, and they exist to dehumanize these female characters, seeing them more as commodities than people. They also claim this problem isn't unique to BG3, with games like Cyberpunk, Mass Effect, and Tomb Raider, along with others all having mods to make their female heroines sexier. They really start to lose the plot near the end of the article, where Henley says, "Developers already make hundreds of decisions aimed at making women more attractive, and these are just taken as standard. But this is simply not true at all to anyone with common sense. It's actually more common than ever before that pretty much most female characters in games, movies, or whatever else have been stripped of their sexuality on purpose. Just look at Mortal Kombat 1, which comes out later this month. That game's been slammed endlessly for its deliberate downgrade of its female characters, with many players on social media furious that NetherRealm seems to be bending the knee to the agenda more than ever before. One person on the Steam forums even asked why the women in MK1 are completely covered in ugly, while the male characters are all shirtless and ripped, and this comment sums it up. You know why? Yup, we definitely do, alright. There's been a deliberate focus by entertainment mediums to uglify their female characters, and it's always being done by Western developers or creators as well. You can look up pretty much any Asian-centric made upcoming game or movie, and largely speaking, Asian creators pander to fan service heavily. And it's no wonder why they do it, since when you compare the Japanese manga market sales to, say, the terrible American comic book industry that pushes ugly women constantly, the sales just speak for themselves. Remember the final boss of ugly female protagonists in the now infamous Fable trailer? And how many people were repulsed by the obvious push by Microsoft to include an ugly female hero? Well, NicheGamer.com has a great article that compiles how Japanese players felt when they saw that same trailer. One user said, "If Link had this kind of face, I'd immediately throw my Switch out the window like a frisbee. It feels like a face that was beaten over and over again with the political correctness stick. Looks like one of the faces of one of the background giants in Attack on Titan." Alright, damn, you didn't have to say that, but okay. But this isn't even the only example of the tired double standards of woke Western journos. Even on Games Radar, you have articles where journos complain that Asian media embraces female sexuality and uses it as a selling point. Yet they'll praise when a game lets you do degenerate stuff like bestiality, for example. And when users speak about how today's media makes women unattractive on purpose, like these two characters in My Adventures with Superman, for example, they get flamed for it, but be honest with yourself, remove the eyeliner, and you couldn't tell the difference in gender either. Besides, these days all that matters to these companies are their ESG scores and incorporations of DEI, or the Diversity Equity Index, in order to pander as much as humanly possible. Take for example Alan Wake 2. Originally, its playable female character, whose name is Saga Anderson, was a white woman. But now she's been race swapped into a black woman instead, and when the actress who plays Saga is asked about the character, it's all your usual nonsense talking points like seeing a woman of color in a leading role, which is something we don't see often apparently. When players could care less what Saga is, but it's clear in Remedy's case they swapped Saga's race on purpose for ESG reasons. There's no other reason to do it since Saga already existed well before Alan Wake 2 was even being made. There's nothing wrong with how Saga looks, by the way. She's a fine looking female character. It's just eye-roll worthy that we're expected to play stupid and not point out the obvious elephant in the room, and if we do, we're suddenly the problem. The double standards are so obvious too, with Polygon stating how Genshin Impact's latest update covers male characters' butts with a bubble, even going as far as to call them boy toys. Just imagine if Polygon wrote the same article and said Genshin Impact covers their girl toys with bubbles. The writer would be crucified, publicly shamed, and quartered for even thinking the thought. But since it's about men, it's fine. Cause it's men after all, they don't have feelings anyway, right? It's so blatantly contradicting. The same writer who glorifies the young men of Genshin as boy toys will also write articles claiming we need to be nicer to women on TV. Why are gaming journals all like this these days? It's tiring, but sadly, it's on brand as well. But anyway, I went off on a weird tangent there from the article in question, but you get what I mean. The point is that there's a very blatant bias here being done by gaming journalism to bolster female voices and causes, while making fun of or disregarding male ones. Henley even says later in her article that logic doesn't apply and all that matters to players is that digital women are practically perfect in every way, or else it's impossible for players to care about them. At least Henley is somewhat aware of her own bias when she says, "I know you could argue there is a double standard afoot. There are many mods across many different games that make men shirtless. We also tend to celebrate when a mod makes a character available for a queer romance, but criticize when a mod changes a queer character to make them available for a straight romance. See Judy Alvarez in Cyberpunk 2077, and I agree with her on one thing at least, which is that there are definitely double standards, and those who live in these liberal echo chambers tend to scream and cheer whenever it benefits them, but it's always problematic when it's the other way around. Although once Henley gets some common sense, she then throws it out the window immediately by saying, ultimately it's a matter of context. If a mod is made to celebrate the character, then I consider it fair game. There are plenty of mods that dress characters up in outfits they only wear in particular scenes, for example. Both Aloy and Lara Croft have mods that put them in more stylish outfits and in makeup, but these feel like they're in support of the character rather than objectifying them. Looking at Shadowheart and deciding she's not quite good enough for you is very different. But see, I would argue that it's exactly the same thing. Just because you don't think Shadowheart needs to be made prettier doesn't mean modding her is any different than giving Lara Croft or say Yennefer from Witcher a new outfit. She ends her article claiming those who mod things they don't like aren't fans of the things they mod, and I quote, "The weighing of these mods and the ones that take a man's shirt off to the ones that contour a woman's clothes and body and face in any and all directions is also heavily out of sync, with far fewer shirtless men to be found. I've always taken the view that modding characters in video games should be like fan fiction. Extra lore, extra quests, extra scenes, extra costumes, but to write fan fiction, you need to be a fan. If you're changing Shadowheart because her skin isn't quite clear enough for you to be interested in her story, why are you even playing in the first place?" End quote. I'll give you the answer as plainly as possible so you'll understand without any confusion. The reason people like to mod characters like Shadowheart or Yennefer and put them into sexy outfits is very simple. It's because people love sexy women. It's not that deep. Why do you think when you watch a show on, say, Food Network or literally any other show, that the presenters are usually always some attractive individual? Why are presenters always fit and attractive for the most part? Because whether woke weirdos want to admit it or not, the human mind yearns and understands that a physically fit and well put together individual is desirable. You can't be serious when you look at someone like Jade Rossi, for example, and you can immediately tell that she is conventionally an attractive woman. And then act stupid and blind when her face is clearly warped and made uglier on purpose in a game like Mass Effect Andromeda. It's all being done deliberately to reduce the concept of the male gaze. Like, you know it's stupid when Netflix's The Witcher's casting director even says that they hired the actor for Yennefer in it to challenge beauty standards. Just imagine how the actor for Yennefer felt reading that headline. It basically insinuates, we had more attractive women for the role of Yennefer, but we wanted to go with you to lower fans' expectations of beauty. Like, what? How can you say something like that and not see how your own moronic sense of making women uglier on purpose is not insane? What's funny is that the games that do include conventionally attractive women these days, like Baldur's Gate 3 for example, are making tons of money when Shadowheart could easily have been Sarah Ryder like Jade Rossi was in Andromeda. But Larian, thankfully, knows that sex sells and they chose to double down and give players a gorgeous companion. I'm unironically waiting for a future video game with companions to have an overweight feminist with a fupa as a love interest one day. I'm genuinely excited for the day that happens, just so that we can see how audiences react to something like that. Just look at what happened to Volition recently, who made the god-awful Saints Row reboot. Players voiced their concerns upon seeing that game's reveal and pleaded to Volition to make it like the originals. But instead, Volition was cocky and mocked the fans and said they would be standing by their decisions. And now the entire studio has gone tits up and has shut down effectively immediately, to the surprise of nobody except probably Volition themselves. You just have to take one look at their marketing and it told you everything that you needed to know. It starred a strong woman of color protagonist who looked like a discount Rosario Dawson. It had a strong female driver, and the men of the team are wimpy weirdos because men can't be men anymore apparently. And of course, all the villains for the most part are white men and women because it's just so cookie cutter at this point. I'll be real with you, I even got sent a free copy of Saints Row when the game released. And I genuinely told them when they offered me it that it would be very unlikely that I would ever play it. They sent it anyway, and guess what? I still haven't played it. So it's no surprise to me that it's gone. Then you got future woke diversity games like Dustborn, which my laptop keeps autocorrecting the name to Dustbin, which honestly sounds more accurate for the game the more you look at it. You take one look at this game's trailer and you already know it's dead on arrival. It has a bunch of ugly diverse characters that check multiple identity political boxes, and when you read what the developers aim for with this game, it makes so much more sense. I got this from Twitter user Vera Dark, and this is what Dustborn's devs had to say about their game, and I quote, "We wanted Dustborn to be an evolution of the work we did with Dreamfall Chapters. A third-person adventure with a strong cast of diverse characters and a vibrant, deep, and original world, with some adventure game mechanics and lots of branching dialogues and stories. But this time we also wanted to include combat action with a narrative twist that stays true to our storytelling heritage. And there's also a bunch of features connected to the idea of weaponized words and how words have the power to change the world. The idea behind Dustborn's settings and characters was also influenced by a series of political events that deeply affected us all, beginning in the summer of 2016 and in I'm sorry, and continuing until well today. As game developers, we wanted to tell a story that felt relevant and thematically timely. Oh, Jesus Christ. With a cast of characters that could more accurately represent our player base and the setting, and to hopefully have some positive impact on the world in addition to being an entertaining game." End quote. Jesus Christ, they're making a game where words are weapons and it's directly influenced by the inauguration of Donald Trump as president, and features a cast of diverse characters that all reject the male gaze on purpose. Dude, you can't make this up. The fact something like this even exists boggles my mind. They even say the game takes place in a fictionalized America gripped by fascism, and there's two groups with the oppressive Puritans and authoritarian justice. How much do you want to bet the main villain of this game will be a white guy and this cast of diversity hires aims to beat him? I don't even know what to say about this game. It's so blatantly going to be a woke piece of garbage that all I can do is wish good luck to the devs. Because honestly, they're gonna need it, because if a Saints Row reboot with their brand recognition ended up tanking the entire studio, an original new game about similar nonsense with no proven background is going to be next to impossible to sell. But it's frustrating to see how there's still developers and journalists trying to push the uglification of women in media still. It's annoying they're doing it in Mortal Kombat, Saints Row is just awful and not surprising, Dustborn is just next level woke nonsense, and I'm just sitting here watching millions of dollars burn as companies continue to give people the opposite of what they want. And with the article that started this video, it's just simply wrong. People are starved in today's media for proper, beautiful depictions of men and women. So if modders seek out to create characters into sexier versions, I say go for it. I hope once Dustborn releases, someone mods it and just reverses everything and then just watch how fast it gets taken down. Oh, identity politics. Also, I find it hilarious that the trailer starts with the bad guy on frame, and look at that! Yep, he's an old white guy to the surprise of nobody. So, what do you think about the annihilation of the male gaze in the pursuit of woke identity politics? Let me know in the comments, like the video to help the channel out, and subscribe for more nonsense like this in the future. Have a great day, please vote with your wallet, and I will see you in the next one.